Let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself staring at your phone, heart doing this little nervous flutter, overanalyzing a message as simple as, "Hey, what's up? You free later?" You read it once. You read it twice. Your thumb hovers over the screen. And just like that, the mental spiral begins. Is this a date? Is it just a hangout? Does it mean something? Or am I, once again, reading poetry into a blank page? You feel that flicker of hope, that smile you can't quite suppress, the movie trailer of possibilities that starts playing in your mind. And then, silence. No follow-up. No clarity. Just that vast, echoing gray space between something and nothing. If that feels achingly familiar, then you, my friend, have navigated the foggy shores of a situationship. That emotional in-between where a connection unmistakably exists, but commitment is as elusive as a ghost. It's the modern dating phenomenon that has left millions of hearts in a state of quiet confusion. In today's deep dive, we're pulling back the curtain on the entire situationship saga. We're going to understand what they truly are, the deep-seated psychological reasons why we get trapped in them, and most importantly, how you can protect your priceless heart from the gray areas of modern love. Because let's be honest, in the age of texting, ghosting, and soft-launching relationships on Instagram, the line between almost love and real love has never been more blurred, more frustrating, or more painful. So, grab your coffee, find a comfortable spot, and let's untangle this emotional maze together. Let's talk about how to find clarity, peace, and purpose in the midst of the confusion. The term situationship has weaved itself into the very fabric of our modern lexicon. You hear it in coffee shop conversations, see it in viral TikToks with millions of tears and likes, and you might even find it mentioned in a sermon or two. But what are we really talking about when we use that word? Beyond the meme, what is its true anatomy? At its core, a situationship is a romantic or deeply intimate connection that operates in a definition-free zone. It lacks the clear boundaries, labels, and mutual commitment of a traditional relationship. You're emotionally involved, you share secrets, vulnerabilities, and maybe a physical intimacy. But there's no clear direction, no agreed-upon destination. You're building a house on a foundation of sand. It's relationship purgatory. You're too connected, too intertwined to be just friends, yet too undefined, too uncertain to be officially together. Psychologists have a term for this: a pseudo-relationship. It's a space where the feeling of emotional intimacy is allowed to develop, but without the safety net, the security, and the clarity that a committed partnership provides. You get the emotional labor of a relationship without any of its privileges. And here's the crucial part. Our culture hasn't just allowed this. It has normalized it. We live in a world of infinite swipes and instant gratification. Connection is commodified, available at the tap of a screen. In this economy, vulnerability feels like a high-risk investment, and commitment can sometimes feel like a relic from a bygone era, something heavy, burdensome, and final. Research from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships paints a stark picture. More than 60% of millennials and Gen Z adults admit to having been in a situationship. That's a majority. Why? Because ambiguity often feels safer than outright rejection. Keeping things undefined gives us a phantom sense of control. We tell ourselves, if it's not defined, it can't officially fail. We think we're playing it safe, but deep down, this lack of definition leaves us feeling unmoored, anxious, and profoundly lost. We've traded the potential pain of a clean ending for the guaranteed ache of a perpetual maybe. Let's return to that message, the one that started this whole conversation. Hey, what's up? You free later? That isn't just a text. It's the anthem of the situationship era. It's a masterpiece of non-committal language. We've systematically traded intentional pursuit for vague, low-effort invitations. We text instead of call because a call requires presence and time. We hang out instead of go on a date because a date implies romance and intention. We build entire emotional worlds, entire futures, on a foundation of heart emojis, late night you up, DMs, and the profound silence between replies. But here's the truth we must confront, as uncomfortable as it may be. Ambiguity is not intimacy. It is a convincing substitute, a facade that tricks our lonely hearts into believing we're connecting deeply, when, in reality, we are both staying safely on the surface. It's the emotional equivalent of living on fast food. It fills the void in the moment, but it provides no real, lasting nourishment. When communication lacks clarity, it creates a breeding ground for emotional instability. One person might interpret a goodnight text as a sign of deep, abiding care. The other person might just be following a habitual scroll and send pattern. One person hears, "I miss you," and thinks, "This is moving forward." The other says, "I miss you," and means, "I'm feeling lonely tonight and you're a pleasant distraction." In that cavernous gap between expectation and reality, that's where heartbreak quietly, insidiously, takes root. If you have ever found yourself lying in bed, replaying a text message in your head, overanalyzing the tone, the punctuation, the time it was sent, or the emoji that was or wasn't used, please hear me. It is not because you are crazy, needy, or overly sensitive. It is because your heart is a meaning-making machine. It is searching for safety, for significance, for a signal in a space that actively refuses to define itself. Your soul is craving a language that the situationship is fundamentally incapable of speaking. To navigate out of this fog, we need to understand a critical distinction: the difference between pursuit and proximity. Proximity simply says, "I am around." It's the background noise of someone's life. It's low cost, low risk, and requires minimal vulnerability. Pursuit, on the other hand, declares, "I am intentional." It's a forward-moving, conscious action. It costs something: time, energy, emotional courage, and the risk of a clear yes or no. A lot of us, especially in situationships, tragically confuse the two. We tell ourselves, "But he texts me every day," or "She always checks in to see how my day was," and we take that consistency of contact as a substitute for clarity of intention. But let me be direct. Consistency without clarity is not commitment. It's just a pattern. True pursuit involves tangible effort. It's about making specific plans for Friday night. It's about introducing you to friends as the person I'm dating. It's about having the courageous conversation about where this is going. Pursuit is directional. It has a vector pointing toward a future. What so many of us accept is minimal effort disguised as interest. It's the last-minute, "you free" text. It's the avoidance of any label because labels are oppressive. It's the mantra of, "Let's just see where things go," which is often code for, "Let's see if someone better comes along." This isn't pursuit. This is convenience. And when you're in this dynamic, you're often being fed emotional crumbs. You get just enough attention, just enough validation to keep you hopeful and coming back for more, but never enough to feel truly secure, satiated, or seen. You're starving at a feast of ambiguity. Now let's talk about the dizzying dance that so often defines these gray area relationships. The brutal cycle of retreat and withdrawal. 1 week, they are all in. The texts are flowing. The plans are being made. The energy is high and focused on you. You feel seen. You feel chosen. You feel like maybe, just maybe, the fog is lifting. And then, without warning, the silence descends. The texts become short and delayed. The enthusiasm evaporates. The excuses, "Work is crazy," "I'm just really stressed," start to appear. You're left standing in the emotional whiplash, wondering what you did wrong. This push-pull dynamic is more than just frustrating. It's neurologically chaotic. It directly hacks into your brain's reward system. During the moments of intense closeness and validation, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, the feel-good reward chemical. You feel amazing. Then, during the sudden withdrawal, Your body releases cortisol and adrenaline, the stress hormones. You feel anxious, insecure, and desperate to return to the dopamine high. This is a psychological mechanism known as intermittent reinforcement. It's the same powerful engine that keeps gamblers glued to slot machines. The unpredictable reward, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't, is far more addictive than a predictable, constant reward. When love feels unpredictable, your brain, in its confused state, chases it harder. The lows make the subsequent highs feel even more euphoric. This is why so many incredibly intelligent, self-aware people find themselves stuck in situationships, feeling like they can't leave. It's not because the relationship is so good. It's because the inconsistency has created a chemical addiction. But we must name this clearly, for our own sanity. Confusion is not chemistry. Anxiety is not attraction. And a roller coaster is not a relationship. So, the million-dollar question is, why do we tolerate this? Why do we, as smart, capable people who deserve the world, find ourselves settling for breadcrumbs? A huge piece of the answer lies in the world of attachment theory, a psychological framework that explains how we connect and relate to others in intimate relationships. The blueprint for our attachment style is often formed in our earliest years, in the dynamic between us and our primary caregivers. If you grew up in an environment where love felt conditional or unpredictable, where a caregiver was sometimes wonderfully present and attuned, but at other times distant, distracted, or unavailable, you may have developed an anxious attachment style. For you, uncertainty feels familiar. The chaos of hot and cold behavior doesn't feel alien, it feels like home. Your nervous system is wired to be on high alert for shifts in someone's emotional availability. So, when a partner is inconsistent, your brain, in a twisted way, interprets it as normal, even though it causes you profound pain. On the flip side, you often find people with an avoidant attachment style in these dynamics. They crave connection and intimacy, but they are also deeply afraid of it. True vulnerability feels suffocating. Once a relationship starts to demand real emotional depth and commitment, their internal alarm bells go off, and they retreat into their shell to reclaim a sense of independence and safety. And so, you have this perfectly dysfunctional dance: the anxious chaser, the avoidant runner. One desperately seeks more closeness to feel secure. The other needs more space to feel safe. Sound familiar? Understanding your attachment style is not about placing blame. It's about gaining power. It helps you stop personalizing the other person's inconsistency. Their retreat isn't necessarily a reflection of your worth. It's often a reflection of their own internal capacity for intimacy and their unhealed wounds. It's about their limitations, not your lovability. Now, let's zoom out for a moment. Beyond the psychology, beyond the texting games, beyond the attachment styles, there is something deeper, more eternal, that we need to anchor ourselves to: our inherent, non-negotiable worth. The ancient words of Psalm 139 offer a radical perspective shift. It says, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You are familiar with all my ways." Read that again. You are searched. You are known. This isn't a verse about performance, about being perfect, or having it all together. It's a declaration of your state of being. You are already fully seen, fully known, and relentlessly pursued, not by someone whose attention is sporadic and conditional, but by a God whose love is steady, unwavering, and absolute. When you begin to truly internalize this, when you anchor your sense of worth in this divine pursuit, something revolutionary happens. You slowly stop chasing people who cannot or will not meet you in that place of secure love. You begin to realize that waiting by the phone for a vague text is a profound downgrade from being chosen, named, and loved by the creator of the universe. That awareness doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you aligned. It recalibrates your entire standard for love. You stop settling for almost love when you understand, in the very core of your being, that real love, the kind you were designed for, is not ambiguous. It is effortful. It is clear. It is committed. It is safe. It is a reflection of that divine pursuit. Let's be brutally honest with ourselves for a moment. Sometimes we're not actually in love with the person in front of us. We're in love with their potential. We fall in love with the version of them that could be, the person they'd be if they just healed from their past, if they committed, if they prioritized us, if they became the hero of the story we've written in our heads. That, my friends, is fantasy. And fantasy is incredibly intoxicating because it allows us to live in the world of what if and avoid the painful present tense truth of what is. We become architects of an imaginary future, building with materials of hope and denial, while ignoring the crumbling foundation of the present reality. You tell yourself, he's just waiting for the right time, or she's scared because she's been hurt before, or God is just testing our patience. But here is a hard truth that will set you free. If someone truly desires a future with you, you won't need a decoder ring to interpret their signals. You won't have to weave a narrative to explain their behavior. Their actions will line up with their words in a way that is consistent, clear, and reassuring. Fantasy keeps you hoping for a miracle. Faith gives you the strength to accept the truth and trust that God's plan for you is better than any fantasy you could craft for yourself. As it says in Philippians 4:8, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." We are called to focus on what is true, and the truth, not the fantasy, is what ultimately brings peace. Now, it's time for a little exposure therapy. Let's shine a light on some of the most common but traps, those little lies and justifications we use to stay in the confusing comfort of a situationship. But he texts me every day. Let's reframe this. Daily contact is the bare minimum in the digital age. It costs nothing. It is not a substitute for emotional commitment or intentional planning. But he said he's not ready for a relationship right now. Listen carefully to the language. Not ready right now often implicitly means not ready for a relationship with you. When someone meets a person they truly don't want to lose, they find a way to be ready. But I've never felt this kind of chemistry with anyone. Intensity is not the same as intimacy. A forest fire is intense, but it destroys everything in its path and then burns out. A hearth fire is intimate. It's contained, warm, safe, and sustainable. But he said he wants to marry me someday. Future faking is a common tactic. Promises about a distant, hazy future are easy to make because they require no present-day action or accountability. Love is a verb. Watch the feet, not the lips. We must internalize this. Love that isn't backed by consistent, clarifying effort isn't love. It's convenience. You are either a priority or you are an option, and you are too valuable to be anyone's option. So, how do we heal? How do we break free from the addictive cycle and step into the light of clarity? It always starts with ruthless honesty with yourself. Ask yourself this pivotal question. What am I truly afraid of losing if I let this go? Often you'll find it's not the actual person you're terrified of losing. It's the idea of them. It's the companionship, the inside jokes, the physical affection, the story you tell your friends. It's the fear of being alone, of facing the silence, of starting over. Name that fear. Bring it out of the shadows. The next crucial step is to redefine and reinforce your boundaries. So many people hear boundaries and think they are walls designed to keep everyone out. That's not it. Healthy boundaries are filters. They are the criteria you set to ensure that what and who comes into your life is conducive to your peace and aligns with your values. A clear boundary in this context sounds like, I really enjoy spending time with you, but I'm looking for a relationship that's moving toward commitment. I understand if you're not in that place, but I can't continue in this undefined space. Or simply, I deserve clarity, and I will no longer invest my time and heart in situations that cannot provide it. This is not an ultimatum. It is a declaration of your standards. You are not telling them what to do. You are telling them who you are and what you require for your emotional safety. As the incredible Brené Brown teaches us, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. It is kind to yourself to be clear about your needs, and it is ultimately kind to the other person to not allow them to live in a fog of their own making at the expense of your heart. I know this journey is painful. It's easy to feel discouraged, to look around and feel like you're always the one who cares more, invests more, and gets hurt more. But I want to leave you with this powerful, paradigm-shifting truth. God is not withholding love from you. He is protecting you from counterfeits. Every almost relationship that didn't work out, every situationship that left you confused, every person who walked away, that wasn't rejection. That was redirection. It was God's grace, steering you away from a path that would have led to deeper, more profound heartbreak, and toward the path that leads to the love that He has specifically, intentionally, and beautifully designed for you. He is in the process of teaching you to recognize the difference between temporary attention and timeless affection, between a spark that fizzles and a flame that endures. Ephesians 1:4 tells us, "Even before He made the world, God loved us and chose us in Christ to be holy and without fault in His eyes." Let that sink into the deepest parts of your soul. Your value was established in the heart of God long before the universe was spun into existence. It exists independently of anyone's validation, attention, or inability to commit. You were chosen first. You are loved first. I want to leave you with some questions to sit with. This is where the real work begins. I encourage you to grab a journal, find a quiet space, and honestly sit with these reflections. 1. What is the recurring pattern I see in my relationships that leads to confusion or a lack of commitment? 2. What am I truly seeking in a partner? Am I more attracted to the excitement of unpredictability or the safety of consistency? 3. Do I mistake mixed signals for mystery and depth? Do I believe that something that's hard to get must be more valuable? 4. How can I better align my relationship standards with my God-given sense of worth? What is one boundary I need to set for myself today? 5. What would change in my dating life, in my peace of mind, if I truly, deeply believed, with every fiber of my being, that I am already fully loved, pursued, and chosen by God? Here is the ultimate truth, the one I hope you carry with you long after this episode ends. You were never meant to live in the gray. God designed you for clarity, for peace, for purpose, not for confusion, guessing games, or half-hearted love. Situationships might feel exciting in the moment, like a thrilling drama, but they almost always leave you emotionally drained and spiritually depleted. Real, healthy, God-honoring relationships require a different kind of courage. The courage to define, the courage to communicate clearly, the courage to walk away when a connection refuses to offer clarity, and the courage to wait patiently for what is real and true and good. So, the next time your phone lights up with that familiar, "Hey, what's up? You free later?" I want you to pause, take a deep breath. Don't just immediately ask yourself, "What does this mean?" Instead, turn the question inward. Ask yourself the only question that truly matters: what do I deserve? And the answer, my friend, is this: you deserve pursuit, not just proximity. You deserve peace, not constant pressure. You deserve a love that is communicative, not confusing. You deserve a love that is not almost, but is absolute, steadfast, and clear. Thank you for sharing this time with me on Podcast Name. If this conversation resonated with you, if it felt like a balm to your soul, please share it with someone in your life who needs this reminder that clarity is love and confusion is not romantic. Until next time, protect your peace, honor your worth, and never, ever forget, you are already and always profoundly loved by the one who defines what real pursuit is all about.